Hello students, I am back with Geography chapter number 2, Land, Soil, Water, Natural Vegetation and Wildlife Resources. Children, in this video, I'll be completing the first topic, Land Resources. Chapter number 1, Land, Soil, Water, Natural Vegetation and Wildlife Resources. Children, let's begin with the lesson. In a small village of Tanzania, Africa, Mamba gets up very early in the morning to fetch water. She has to walk a long way and returns after a few hours. She helps her mother in house and joins her brothers in taking care of their goats. All her family owns is a piece of rocky land around their small hut. Mamba's father can barely grow some maize and beans on it after toiling hard. This is not enough to feed their family for the whole year. On the other hand, Peter lives in the heart of the sheep rearing region in New Zealand, where his family runs a wool processing factory. Every day when he returns from school, Peter watches his uncle taking care of their sheep. Their sheep yard is situated on a wide grassy plain with hills in the far distance. It is managed in a scientific way using the latest technology. Peter's family also grows vegetables through organic farming. Mamba and Peter stay in two different parts of the world and lead very different lives. This difference is because of the differences in the quality of land, soil, water, natural vegetation, animals, and the usage of technology. The availability of such resources is the main reason places differ from each other. Let's begin with our first subtopic, land. Land is among the most important natural resources because land is being used by human beings for several purposes such as agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses and roads, and setting up industries. Land also provides habitation to a variety of flora and fauna. Flora and fauna means plants and animals. It covers only about 30% of the total area of the Earth's surface, and all parts of this small percentage are not habitable. The uneven distribution of population in different parts of the world is mainly due to varied characteristics of land and climate. Now, the uneven distribution of population may be because of the reasons or the features of the land and climate. These features or characteristics may be the rugged topography. Rugged topography here means the arrangement of natural and artificial features of an area. Then the other reason may be steep slopes of mountain. Then low-lying areas susceptible to water logging. Susceptible means the areas that get easily influenced or harmed by something. Then the deserted areas, thick forested areas. These are normally sparsely populated or uninhabited. Let's understand this in more detail. Children, some areas are sparsely populated or uninhabited. Some areas are densely populated or habited areas. Sparsely populated here means very less population or very less number of people live over here. And densely populated means the population is very high. Let's understand the difference why these areas are sparsely or densely populated. See, the areas that are sparsely populated may be due to the reasons of rugged topography, means the uneven features of land, then steep slopes of the mountains, then low-lying areas susceptible to waterlogging. That means these are the low-lying areas where water gets easily filled up after the rains. Then deserted areas. Desert areas also have less population, or we can say there is no population. Then thick forested areas. So these are the regions where people don't like to live or they won't prefer to live. The areas that are densely populated are the areas where water is easily available, that is near river banks, or plains where the land can be taken under agriculture. So generally river banks, river valleys and plains are densely populated areas. Let's move on to our next subtopic, land use. Land use involves the management and modification of natural environment to build in environments such as settlements. Land is used for different purposes such as agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses and roads, setting up industries, and so on. The use of land is determined by physical factors such as topography, soil, climate, minerals, availability of water. So all these factors are very essential or very important for a particular piece of land to be taken under utilization. Children, land can also be divided on the basis of private land and community land. Let's understand the difference. Private land is owned by individuals, whereas community land is owned by community for common use like collection of fodder, fruits, nuts or medicinal herbs. Community lands are also called as common property resources. People and their demands are ever growing, but the availability of land is limited. More or less, the quality of land also differs from place to place. In urban areas, people have started encroaching the common lands to build up commercial and housing complexes. Whereas in rural areas, people are expanding their agricultural land. Today, the vast changes in the land use pattern also reflects the cultural changes in our society. Let's look at these pictures now. In the first picture, as you can see, it is a village. People are practicing agriculture. There are few huts in the village. In the second picture, as you can see, after few years, there is a little bit advancement in the village. For example, the huts are being replaced by cemented house. There is a tractor in the village. You can also see electricity transmission tower. Few years later, again, here you can see there is a road constructed. There are few more cemented buildings in the village. You cannot say that this is the same village you saw in picture 1. And in the last picture, you can see the entire area or the village is transformed to a city. So this is how a rural area is developed into an urban area. And we can say this is a change in land use over time. Let's understand the threats to the environment because of agricultural and constructional activities. Threats here means a damage or danger. So the first threat is land degradation. The quality of land is degraded when the forest cover or the vegetation cover is cleared off. Then we have landslides. Next is soil erosion. What happens when the vegetation cover is cleared off? The soil is exposed to the agents like wind and water. Now these agents, that is the wind and water, carries a very fertile layer of soil from one place to another, thereby reducing its fertility. And lastly, we have deserts or desertification. let's look at conservation of land resources. The first method of conserving land resources is afforestation. Afforestation means planting more and more saplings. Then we have land reclamation. Land reclamation is the process of creating new land from oceans, seas, riverbeds, or lake beds. The land reclaimed is known as reclaimed ground or landfill. Then we have checks on overgrazing. We need to keep check on overgrazing of cattle. Then lastly, we have regulated use of pesticides and fertilizers. We need to keep a check on usage of fertilizers and pesticides. Children, observe this clip carefully. Can you see a mass movement of earth down the slope? This is nothing but a landslide. So how do we define landslide? Landslides are simply defined as the mass movement of rock debris or earth down a slope. They often take place in conjunction with earthquakes, flood and volcanoes. So landslides occur jointly with the disasters like earthquake, flood and volcanoes. A prolonged spell of rainfall can cause heavy landslide that can block the flow of river for quite some time. So the regions that receive maximum rainfall or where there is a continuous rainfall, landslide may occur in those regions. And because of this landslide, river channels get blocked. The formation of river blocks can cause a havoc to the settlements downstream on its bursting. So when there is a landslide, there is a widespread destruction in the settlements downstream. In the hilly terrain, landslides have been a major and widely spread natural disaster that often strike life and property and occupy a position of major concern. So the areas generally where there is a hilly terrain, there are slopes. In such areas, landslides occur frequently. And this is a natural disaster that spread a lot of destruction, causing a destruction to property, life, and this disaster occupy a area of concern in all aspects. Mitigation techniques. Mitigation means the action of reducing severity or seriousness. So now we are going to learn how to reduce the severity of landslides. First we have hazard mapping. Locate areas prone to landslides. Hence, such areas can be avoided for building settlements. This point tells us that we should map such areas where there is a risk of landslides occurring very frequently so that we can avoid building settlements in such areas which are prone to landslides. Next we have construction of retention wall to stop land from slipping. See the picture. Can you see one wall constructed over here? So such type of retention walls can be constructed to stop the land from slipping down. Next we have increase in the vegetation cover is an effective way to arrest landslide. When the vegetation cover is increased in the areas where there are slopes, the plants that are grown on that particular slope will arrest the soil in their roots, thereby reducing the risk of landslides. Then we have the surface drainage control works are implemented to control the movement of landslide along with rainwater and spring flow. This means we should have control over surface drainage works so that movement of rainwater and spring flows are controlled. Based on today's video, there is a small assignment on the topic land. Children, solve this in your geography notebook. We will meet in our next video. Till then, stay safe.